All right, Landon, hit the disclaimer.
So Dave, thanks for coming on. I've watched your stuff on the TRT and hormone optimization channel, I don't know, since 2021, probably around in there. And then I really came to know your work from listening to you speak at Silverback on 2023 was the first one I went to. And I still use some of the things that you said at that time. And so since I've kind of stole some of your verbiage on stuff, I wanted to get you on and actually have your words say everything. But I kind of just wanted to even know your background with everything. How did you get started, and just kind of give a brief introduction of yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much for having me, and it's great to hear that my analogies and all of that stuff from those speeches has resonated. I've been in this field professionally since 2019. I want to say maybe late 2018, and I was someone who never really thought I would be doing much with science at all. I didn't do science in high school past grade 10 because it wasn't something that you could really fluff your way through. You actually had to study. And that wasn't really my cup of tea in high school. So I was doing digital marketing. I was a musician for a long time. And long story short, condensing a very, long traumatic kind of period, I had a very severe brain injury, which left me with quite debilitating vertigo. And for people who've never had vertigo, I would describe it as spinning around on an office chair 50 times. And imagine being in that state for years perpetually. It was pretty hellish, I would say. And after every doctor who I spoke to told me that it was incurable, that the vestibular nerve couldn't be healed, I decided to go back to university and get a postgraduate diploma in science, really focusing on biomedical science, and moved into a master's of neuropsychiatry to very quickly drop out, as I thought we would learn how to heal the brain, not how to drug people without question. But fortunately, from doing that period of study, and particularly looking at endocrinology out of interest when I was there, I was led to hormones, and in particular testosterone, as well as hormones like pregnenolone, DHEA, thyroid, which I'm sure we're going to talk about today, and the synergy of those with peptides and other nutrients in a hope that I would be able to heal the nerve damage, which was deemed incurable. And after I recovered from that, everything else that I was doing professionally, which previously was digital marketing, kind of felt very superfluous. I really wanted to help people, not just with similar conditions to what I was dealing with, but just navigate through the mess of dealing with multiple specialists who aren't talking to each other, people who are seeing each individual component of the body as separate, which doesn't make any sense. It's not how the human body works. And after doing that for a number of years, I ended up kind of progressing into education, progressing into writing a few books, working with a few clinics, mentoring on how TRT should be done properly from a biomedical standpoint, looking at the pharmacokinetics of how these medications deliver the optimal outcomes that we are hoping to achieve. And I've been doing that ever since. I've been fortunate enough to speak at a number of events and work with some amazing doctors and clinics all over the world. And that's led me to being here today chatting to you.
Nice. Where are you primarily located? I mean, I've seen you in the US, but you're not from the US. And where are your clinics, or where's your main source of action?
So I live in a country called Lithuania. For people who don't know where that is, it is north of Poland, west of Russia. It's the southernmost Baltic state, but culturally Eastern Europe, but technically Northern Europe, the Baltic states. I've been here for 5 years. So I have a clinic over here that's actually based in Latvia called TRT Baltic, and we service Eastern Europe. But I'm originally from Perth, Western Australia, and the majority of my business activity, clinical operations, and kind of everything I've done in this field has been based out of Australia. I was living in Australia when I started doing this. And I also work with a clinic in the US called Victory Men's Health. So my goal for a while has been to be able to have clinics all over the world, which I am working with directly on the clinical protocols to allow these clinics, as well as myself, coaching, to be able to have, what I would deem gold standard approaches applied for my clients who become patients of these doctors. So I'm kind of spread across Europe, US, and Australia, but I would say I'm primarily based in Australia business-wise, but I live over here in Lithuania.
Do you see anything different just from taking care of guys across the country? Like mine, I'm in Texas, and so really it's kind of niche to Texas, but obviously with the silverback being popular, it's kind of throughout the US. But is there anything that you observe that's even different management wise in Australia or Europe compared to your US clientele?
Yeah, there's definitely difference. I mean, in the US, there's a lot more insulin resistance, that's for sure. In Europe, particularly in this part of Europe, vitamin D deficiency is rampant, as well as working with a lot of clients in the UK as well, but also in Eastern Europe. I see a lot more Hashimoto's. I would hypothesize that there is a degree of lifelong and in utero vitamin D deficiency that probably contributes to that. And in Australia, there's kind of a little bit of everything. I mean, too much alcohol, binge drinking culture is a bit of a global thing. There's different social conventions for how that shows up in different parts of the world, but that's definitely universal. Men are men in every country, so there is that kind of common template and patterns that come up. But yeah, there's different lifestyle components. There's different, socioeconomic issues that lead to different health outcomes as well. There's different kind of focuses on different aspects of health and fitness in different countries. So there are some things that are a little bit different, but at the end of the day, endocrine issues are becoming a global, I would call an epidemic, but there's probably more endocrine disruption going on in Western countries. There's things like glyphosate and atrazine, which are rampant in Western countries that are less saturated over here, for sure. And we definitely have a lot less juvenile obesity over here and obesity during puberty. So I think that I've been saying for a long time that I think that is a big factor of why a lot of these younger guys are coming up with low testosterone issues due to obesity during development. But Eastern Europe is becoming pretty westernized. I've been coming over to Lithuania back and forth since 2014 or so, and there's definitely been a cultural shift. So the world is becoming more globalized, and that's kind of coming more as a kind of universal issue.
Okay, cool. Little sidebar, but really, I think you do a great job with all the psychiatric component and mental health along with the testosterone therapy. And so I wanted to kind of dive into those a little bit. I'll say from my own experience with testosterone, I mean, testosterone gets a rap for just building muscle or as sex, but I get probably the most satisfying benefits of treating guys and gals from a mental standpoint. It just almost gives them their life, their vigor back. And kind of in my own personal journey, I mean, I worked in the ER day shift, night shift for 10 years. And so I probably threw off my circadian rhythm. I couldn't exercise very frequently. And so, like, I gained a lot of weight and then I kind of yo yo dieted. And so maybe I threw it all off from that. But anyways, I was struggling with kind of depression, anxiety, and I was like, let me try out the lifestyle stuff. I lost 30 pounds, took a good amount of vitamin D, stopped microwaving in plastic, changed all my fragrances, deodorant, shampoos, etc. So everything I could do, and was still kind of struggling with it. I randomly checked my testosterone level, and it was low, and so I was like, I'll check, I'll start testosterone if that doesn't work. I mean, and just kind of plan to go the typical depression, anxiety, med route, SSRIs and everything. Well, luckily testosterone fixed that and kind of got me back. So personally, it's helped me from a psychological standpoint more than anything. But what do you see and how have you helped guys with their psychological component with their testosterone?
Yeah, this is the subject that I'm the most interested in. When I first got into working with testosterone personally, and then as well as as a coach, my background was more so coming out of the neuropsychiatry component. So when I was first looking at testosterone, I was looking at it through more of the lens that you'd look at things like everything from dexamphetamine and methylphenidate through to SSRIs and other psychiatric medications. And when you look at how testosterone works on the facilitation of the production of neurotransmitters, as well as modulation of things like receptors and enzymatic pathways in the brain, I wouldn't say that it is perfect psychiatric intervention for men, but out of everything that we have available for what I would deem, low-grade mental health disorders, I think that it's difficult to argue that it's the best, not maybe because it is the most efficacious in isolation, because all of these things require a holistic interventional approach in terms of mental health, lifestyle and psychological output and all these things are, psychological disposition are big factors as well. But the thing that I like the most about how testosterone works in the brain is that it doesn't force your brain into a certain direction. It works with you rather than works on you. It modulates and facilitates pathways rather than jacking certain things up for no good reason, which, when we look at psychiatry, I was having this discussion recently that the monoamine hypothesis of depression, this idea that one neurotransmitter is genetically broken in the people who are depressed, which is namely, deemed serotonin by the, psychiatric industry. This has been pretty thoroughly debunked, over the recent years in very big meta-analysis reviews, even in the recent years, all the way to simply comparing, SSRI antidepressant intervention with things like exercise. And not only do these drugs not work for the majority of people, but they cause debilitating, horrible side effects for more than 50% on average when you look at the SSRI class across the most commonly prescribed ones. So the interesting thing about testosterone in terms of how it works for mental health is that, I've been using the analogy for a while, is that it builds the foundation of the house, but it doesn't build the house for you.